Welcome to the Social Media Church Podcast. I am Neil Smith, and I am joined by a special guest today. First time on the podcast, my wife, Katie Smith. Katie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
And we have a podcast together. We'd love for you guys to all go listen to, and not guys or girls. I say guys, generally speaking, just to clarify. But Coming to New York City podcast is a podcast that we do together. We share our life, our story, our experiences, and we want to help people have a great time in New York City. So you want to maybe, Katie, just give a little teaser of what Coming to New York City is?
Yeah, so Coming to New York City is something we started about a year ago. On Instagram, if you follow me at Coming to NYC, I really share our day-to-day life about living in New York City with kids and what it's like since we've moved here 5 years ago. And then we also do the podcast, and we talk not only about living in New York City, but also visiting. So, a lot of friends who want to take vacation here will listen to the podcast and get our tips and tricks and all of that. But then also a lot of people I found are just interested in how do we live here? Why in the world did we move from our house in Texas, leave all that behind and come to an apartment in New York City? So we do a little bit of both traveling and moving, and so it's been really fun to do with you over the past year.
Yes, we have had, and we've gotten really incredible feedback from the podcast and met some incredible people through the podcast. And so that has been a lot of fun.
Really, yeah.
So today we're talking about social media and the church. And so, Katie, I want to get some perspective from you because you don't work for a church. You have not worked for a church.
No.
You are a social media user and you are a church member. And so some perspective of how can churches better engage moms? Because I think practically, as I even look at the guests on this podcast, a lot of them I think are just maybe just friendships, but it's mostly men, that are engaging and leading this, but yet most of the people that we're engaging or that are engaged on our platforms are women, and a lot of them are moms.
Yeah.
And so I thought it would be helpful for us to talk through how can the church better engage you and better engage you in your life stage, and where are you engaging on social media? Why? And what would you be looking for from the church?
Yeah.
And so maybe just talk a little bit about where you engage on social media. What does that look like for you on a day-to-day basis today?
Yeah. So usually where I engage the most right now is Instagram.
Yes.
It does have to do with the fact that, I have my own Instagram page that I'm running and all of that. But also, I enjoy looking at other people's pictures and I enjoy seeing what everybody's doing and checking their stories. So I like Instagram because it's a little bit of everything. Like I said, it's the pictures, but it's also the stories. And so that's probably where I'm engaged the most.
Yes.
I still check Facebook a little bit.
Okay.
Because everybody is over there.
Yes.
And by everybody, I mean everybody, like my mom and her friends too. So I can check up on everybody over there.
Not your mom and their friends too. Your mom and their friends mostly.
Mostly, yes.
And then
a few others,
yes.
Yeah. So I can check up on everybody over there. Sometimes I don't stay long because of the topics people are talking about and things like that just get a little old to me.
Yes.
So I check Facebook, and then I go to Twitter, like in the trending.
Yes.
I really don't follow a whole lot of people on Twitter, but I'll just check the trending to see, what's going on in New York City, what's going on with my favorite shows, that kind of thing.
Yes.
So that's where I'm spending most of my time.
And then, so Twitter for that, and then YouTube.
Yeah.
How do you engage on YouTube?
I probably watch embarrassing things.
Yeah, you can admit them here. It's good.
So I'm a fan. I don't know. I like makeup tutorials and things like that. Yeah. So I'm really into this Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson series right now.
I think that goes beyond makeup, though. I think it's
it's business.
Storytelling.
I didn't realize it like when I first got into it. I just thought it was mostly makeup, but Jeffree Star is he's insane, but he's such a smart business guy, and I love watching it for that part of it. I love Shane Dawson, his just demeanor and him learning this business with Jeffree Star. I think it's, I think we can see a lot of ourselves in that. I watch the Dolan twins.
Okay.
Just because I think it's funny.
Okay.
Things like that.
Yes.
So I watch Try Guys and Hot Ones.
Okay. Yeah.
So usually, like, that's kind of like an escape. And I actually have found myself watching that more than TV lately. Like going to bed or, just when I have a few minutes. That's become more. Yeah, I watch that more than TV right now.
I don't know how many people I've heard that from I'm actually watching YouTube more than I'm watching TV now.
Which is really surprising because
Yes.
I was watching more TV probably up until about 3 months ago.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden it took a turn and I have all these shows, episodes and things I want to see on YouTube
Yep.
that I'm like, I know which days they come out with new stuff.
Yes.
Which is interesting. I didn't think I would be that person, but I
Yep.
totally am.
Yep. I'm really intrigued to see where even some YouTube data switches in the coming months that come out of just people watching longer. The Shane Dawson series, I think, is every church leader should go watch it to learn from it. What he did with Jake Paul as well, and now what he's doing with Jeffree Star. I think church leaders can learn a ton from a storytelling perspective around that, and it's really intriguing. And honestly, it's not mega produced.
No.
It's well produced, but it is pretty simply done. It's got a YouTube style and format to it.
Yeah, and it's
but
just him
really
behind
engaging.
his camera.
Yeah.
I mean, behind his computer doing all the editing.
Yeah.
So it's not like he has this huge team either. It's like him and his camera guy, and
Wow.
they edit it down. And
It's amazing.
yeah, he's
amazing.
still doing all of his stuff. And I feel like they really changed the marketing game. I mean,
Yes.
through the series, they convinced me that I needed this makeup palette, and I've never bought. I mean, I've bought makeup before, but nothing like this. Like, I was on it when the site was like crashing on launch day, and I bought the palette, the whole thing. And so, if they can get a 38-year-old mom to buy this palette, like, they did it right. Like, they
Yeah.
did a good job.
Yep. Well done. Well
Yep.
done. So let's go back to your behavior. So primarily Instagram, then Facebook, then Twitter,
bit
and then
Twitter.
YouTube is kind of its own little thing. So I don't know if
Right,
we can
right.
call this social media, but so Instagram, what engages you most on Instagram?
Personal stories.
Yep.
Mostly it's from people that I follow, like celebrities and things like that, but
Yep.
also just getting a peek inside of my friends' everyday lives.
Yes.
Not the perfect stuff, like not the pictures that they post, which are great. Like, I know a lot of people are very critical about, oh, well, that's not real life. But I think it's your highlights. And if you just take it as somebody's highlights and celebrate their highlights with them, I think it's great.
Yep.
And then when they give you a little peek in the Instagram stories about how their day's really going, I think that's a great way to connect with people. And I think it's fascinating when I'm watching celebrities or, people I don't actually know when they're talking to me, like, just sharing parts of their day. I think it's fascinating.
And then how would you say, well, practically, how do you engage with your church? So we go to Hillsong Church in New York through Instagram. And how do you wish maybe you were engaging with your church? How could the church engage you better on Instagram?
I think two things that they do really well is information.
Yes.
And so, I can always go there to find out if the kids area has moved for the Sunday or,
Yep.
if there's a kids thing going on, I can go to Hillsong Kids and find out the latest
Yep.
and find out what they talked about
Yep.
in the service that day. And, they have questions that you can ask your kids, all of
Yeah.
that on the Instagram stories. I can go to the Sisterhood page and
Yep.
find out when the next event is. I can go to the church page and find out if they had to change venues, because sometimes
Yep.
that happens in New York
Yep.
City, or, find out if there's a special service going on for the week. So they're good at information.
Yes.
And they're also good at some inspiration things.
Yes.
Just giving you an encouragement during the week. Probably something that they're not as good at is being personal on there. I would like to know, like, what they're doing at their staff meetings or, how the pastors are preparing for the week or, does the worship band practice during the week? What does that look like? All the preparation. So a little bit of like a peek
It's behind
behind
the
the
scenes.
curtain
Yeah.
would be really cool. Even, having a pastor take over the Instagram for the day and just giving us a look inside of, what their typical day is, especially, somebody like
Love
Carl.
that.
And, like with Carl Lentz, I follow his personal.
Yes.
And Laura Lentz as well. I follow their personal. So I get a peek that way. But, to tie that into the church and just really show how they're working on the message that week or,
Yes.
Something like that would be a really cool personal connection.
Yes. And I would say to that point, is that our pastors in many ways minister through their personal accounts more than they do the church account.
Right.
But they also make a personal connection of like, look, I know they like basketball, or I know their kids or do dance or whatever it might be. So they give us like a peek into their personal lives, and then they add some inspiration at times. But I do feel like that creates a good level of connection.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything you think maybe even from on the pastor's leaders' personal accounts you wished maybe was different to better connect and engage you as a mom?
Yeah. I think too, like the sisterhood, that's what they call like the women's ministry at Hillsong.
Yeah.
I like that it is sisterhood and not just moms.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times as moms, we get kind of pigeonholed into that one spot.
Yep.
And, I love being a mom. I love being a wife. But before all that, I am a woman, and I am a Christian woman who needs to be fed as such.
Yep.
And so I enjoy that we have sisterhood all together. And it's a whole bunch of women from different ages and backgrounds coming together.
Yes.
And worshiping together, and having services together on weeks. So I really appreciate that it's not, I don't always want to talk about my kids.
Yeah.
I really, in order to be the best mom that I can, I have to feed myself as a woman first.
Yes.
And then I can become, out of that, I can become a good mom and a good wife.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, then let's move to Facebook a little bit. How you talked a little bit how you engage on Facebook. How do you see churches engaging on Facebook? Maybe our church, or how do you engage with our church on Facebook, or do you?
Yeah, I don't really engage with our church on Facebook as much.
Yeah.
They have the same posts on Instagram as they do on Facebook,
Yep.
But the Facebook ones don't seem to get as much engagement. And
Yep.
so I'll typically check it on Instagram to see
Yep.
what other people's comments are and
Yep.
things like that. So I don't actually see it on Facebook that often. The group that I am involved in on Facebook is the Upper East Side Moms group.
Yes.
And
I always hear about this Upper East Side Moms Facebook group. Like,
yeah,
I got this here, and I learned about this here, and I asked this question here.
yeah.
So talk about the Upper East Side Moms Facebook group.
Okay, so it's UES Mamas, and there are 36.5 thousand members.
Yes.
And you have to essentially know somebody to get in the group. I mean, it's not like that exclusive, but you're supposed to be, a Manhattan mom who lives on the Upper East Side, and somebody has to vouch for you in order to get in. So, but obviously there's 36.5 thousand, and so people move, and so not everybody's from that area anymore. But anyways, there's a lot of drama on it.
Okay. What does that mean?
It's
There's
not
drama.
Well, if you get 36.5 thousand moms in one group, there are a lot of different opinions.
Okay.
And very strong opinions. These are Manhattan moms, like New York City moms.
Yeah.
Who've got opinions, and they're not afraid to let people know. So, like anything from, vaccination gets a lot of opinions.
Yep.
The moderators do a good job of trying to shut things down, but anything could turn into an argument.
Yep.
Schooling, private or public or homeschool.
Yep.
How much to pay a nanny or a housekeeper, or, people that are helping in the house,
Yep.
All of those, lots of things. It's interesting. So I get on there because most of the time it's interesting, but a lot of people are asking really good questions about where to find the best doctors, the best dentists for your kids.
Yep.
Some people get on and say, we're having this situation. Have you ever been in this situation before? My kid was diagnosed with this sickness. Is this something that you've experienced before? Reach out to me,
Yep.
If you have experience. And so there's a lot of really great things that happen. People will get on there. There's a whole different group that started, moms that are helping the immigrant kids that are here, maybe without their parents, or trying to get rematched with their parents. And so, they're coming together to help those families who are maybe separated right now. they can find anything,
Yep.
or they have connections to anything. Like
Yes.
if you need tickets to something, or you want to get in touch with a certain person or celebrity or whatever, like there's 1,000,003 connections
Yes.
through that group. So it's fascinating.
Yes, and I think, I mean, one is church people also have a lot of strong opinions, and I think having a community like that to engage and have conversations and ask questions and connect and probably even get messy
Yeah.
at times. I feel like the best opportunity on Facebook is Facebook groups, and the little bit of time you spend on Facebook, it seems like maybe even half of your engagement is in that one Facebook group,
Yeah.
and probably keeps you engaged to Facebook, and
agree with
becomes
that.
your go-to place if you have any question around that topic. And I feel like it can be that way for the church. If you've got any kind of question about the church, I'm going to just go to the First Methodist Facebook group, and I'm going to ask them what they think, or if we should watch a movie or not, or if we should, whatever it
Yeah,
might
it could be the biggest or the littlest things. Yeah.
Yes, I think having that community is valuable. So, Facebook groups, Twitter, anything you feel like churches could better do as you engage on Twitter a little bit and might engage you?
Not too much on Twitter. I don't know. I mostly just go there to get the highlights of the news.
Yes.
And to find out like what's going on in the world.
Yep.
I just go to the what's trending
Yep.
for the most part.
Yeah. Should churches try, from your perspective, to push a hashtag and try to trend on Twitter on Sundays, or is that really trying too hard from your perspective, or at least to engage
Yeah.
moms as we're talking, maybe, or women as
Yeah.
we're talking
Yeah.
about that specific demographic, or is that really ineffective? Like stay in the lane of Instagram and a Facebook group.
Yeah. I mean, just off the top of my head, I feel like it's ineffective. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think I would ever search a hashtag.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe if they really pushed it.
Yep.
I might search. I don't know. I just don't see
Yeah.
myself searching a hashtag or.
What
I mean,
what about for when you go to sisterhood? Or would that be more an Instagram hashtag would make much more sense?
Yeah, I'd be way more likely on Instagram
Yeah.
to look for that.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. So that's then the gamut. What about YouTube? What would you hope Hillsong did on YouTube, or any church would do on YouTube, as you're watching more YouTube than TV?
Yeah.
What kind of content would you love to see on YouTube?
Something more casual.
Okay.
Not just a repost of the sermons.
Yeah.
Although that would be good because our church actually does not repost the
Yes,
sermons. So
yes.
if I could go to a place where, I could get Carl's sermons that I missed, or I mean, there's a Hillsong channel, so they
Sure.
do have that. So there is a place to get it. But so yeah, like those kind of sermons would be good, but also just something informal and
Yeah.
just, even like a podcast like we're doing right now, and just showing the recording of it, or
Perfect. Well,
Yeah.
any other advice you would give to church leaders that are looking to better engage moms and women on social media from a church member female perspective?
Yeah. I would say just have a place for the women.
Yes.
And, it may be for moms, specifically out
Yeah.
of that, but definitely have a place for women that they can go to, like a special Instagram page or,
Yep.
Facebook group or something, so that they can find out about what's going on for them, but then also just encourage them through the week,
Yes.
encourage the moms who are stay-at-home moms and just say, hey, we're praying for you today. We know what you're doing out there. You're doing good work. Keep it up. And for the ones who are working,
Yes.
working moms or working without kids, just that encouragement. Like, we
Yep.
see you, we know. How can we pray for you this week? Let us know. And just starting that engagement with them,
Yep.
and just knowing that somebody is thinking about you during the week and purposely setting aside this day to pray for you
Yep.
is really nice. And then, kind of like what we talked about in the groups, just having a platform where moms can come ask questions. And like
Yes.
you said, it might get messy. It might get a little opinionated and things like that, but that's okay.
Yes.
You do have to have some ground rules and some some admins who can monitor and make sure that things don't get out of control. But you don't want to monitor it too much to where it's boring and vanilla and nobody feels like they can actually answer their questions, their hard questions, and it will take a little while because it's hard for women to admit when they have something, that they need help on. It's I know it's hard for me, whether it's a mom thing or being a wife. It'll take me a while until I can trust the group to open up. But if you give it time and you make it a safe place, people will start to open up. And, if I could go to my church group instead of Upper East Side Moms, I would definitely do that because I would like to hear from people who have the same convictions that I do.
Yes.
And the same, that belief in God that really governs everything. I want to hear from the women who have been there, who've experienced those same things. And so, like I said, it may take a little while because women can be hesitant to open up, but once they do, I think it could be a really valuable resource.
Yes. That is great advice. I hope you will lean in to that and really be intentional in that way in your church and really look at what you're doing and how you're effectively engaging and giving a community and a place for women to engage and connect with each other online. Katie, thanks for taking the time to be on the podcast. You can follow Katie at Coming to NYC on Instagram. You can also go to her website, comingtonewyorkcity.com. Thanks so much for listening. If you would, leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever it is that you're listening. And go to socialmedia.church for more information about this podcast or show notes and everything you need connected to Social Media Church. Thanks so much for listening.